badlands low, with a broken cross and a heart of coal. Had black dust packed in every scar, and a dead man's curse beneath his arms. The town went quiet when his shadow fell, like the road itself had walked through hell. He tipped his hat to the chapel flame, said, I came back clean, but not the same. They said no soul could wash that stain, no sinner rises through that pain. But the red dirt cracked and the sky confessed when redemption wore a bullet vest. Black dust, redemption, fire in his soul. He burned through the darkness that tried to take control. No grave could claim him, no devil held possession. He walked out of hell with black dust redemption. The banker laughed from a golden chair till he saw that outlaw standing there. The judge went pale, the preacher shook when he opened up that blood-stained book. He said, I ain't here for a killing spree, I came for the truth they stole from me. You buried my name in a sinner's ground, now I'm here to burn your kingdom down. The lanterns died, the piano screamed, the devil woke from a wicked dream, and the whole West learned that a dead man's confession can rise up black with redemption. Black dust, redemption, fire in his soul. He burned through the darkness that tried to take control. No grave could claim him, no devil held possession. He walked out of hell with black dust redemption. I was not saved by angels, I was not washed in light. I was dragged through the fire, till the fire learned my bite. If redemption wants a clean man, it can keep on walking. I came back dirty, but I came back standing. Black dust rising, red hands clean. I found salvation where hell had been. He burned through the darkness that tried to take control. No grave could claim him, no grave could claim, no devil held possession, no devil held possession. He walked out of hell with black dust redemption. Black dust redemption, smoke in the rain, worn outlaw rising past the devil's chain. lock up your sins. Redemption is waking. Flats where the dead men lie, looking for the outlaw who refused to die. That man stood still by a broken fence, with a Bible scar and a loaded sense. The red wind froze, the coyotes cried when he looked that beast right in the eye. The devil laughed, said, "Boy, you're mine." The outlaw said, "Get back in line." And the black horse screamed and the ground split loose. Hell found out what fear can do. The devil's horse threw him right down in the dust. Fire kicked upward and the iron turned to rust. No crown, no chain, no help on him. One dead man stood there, and the devil's horse threw him. The town saw fire on the canyon rim, saw the devil fall and crawl from him. The church bell cracked in the midnight air, and the preacher forgot his prayer. The outlaw walked with his shadow white, said, "I've been burned, but I never died." You don't own the road, you don't own the grave, and you sure don't own the soul I saved. The black horse bowed, the moon red. The devil bled where the brave men fled, and deep below where the lost souls swim, hell heard the horse throw him. The devil's horse threw him right down in the dust. Fire kicked upward and the iron turned to rust. No crown, no chain, no help on him. One dead man stood there, and the devil's horse threw him. I ain't stronger than God, I ain't cleaner than sin, but I've been through the fire and came back wearing skin. So if hell wants a rider, it best find another man. I don't saddle for devils, I make devils understand. Black horse crying, red dust dim. The west kept watching when the devil fell from him. devil's horse threw him by the sinner's gate. One outlaw laughing at the mouth of fate. When the black horse runs and the red moon gets thin, don't bet on the devil when that outlaw walks in. They found his coat by the burning rail, boot prints leading past the jail. 3 black crows on a hanging wire, watching smoke rise from the fire. He had a Bible with a bullet hole, a rusted chain and a desert soul. No man knew where he had been, but he looked scared when he walked in. They said he died down in Abilene, buried cold beneath the mesquite. But the ground shook hard and the preacher cried, some men don't stay where they're laid to lie. He was the last man the devil feared, with fire in his blood and death in his beard. He walked through hell with a loaded hand, came back burning like a judgment man. No grave could hold him, no cross could keep him near. He was the last man standing, the last man the devil feared. Through town when the moon turned red, with 100 ghosts behind his head. The bartender dropped his glass awry when he saw that scar beneath his eye. He said, I ain't here for silver or gold, I'm here for the debt on a liar's soul. I left my mercy in a shallow grave, and I ain't come back here to behave. The church bell cracked, the lanterns died, dogs ran low with their tails held tight, and somewhere deep where the dead men sleep, the devil learned how fear can creep. He was the last man the devil feared, with fire in his blood and death in his beard. He walked through hell with a loaded hand, came back burning like a judgment man. No grave could hold him, no cross could keep him near. He was the last man standing, the last man the devil feared. I seen the gates, I heard them call, I felt the flames crawl up the wall. The devil said, boy, you belong to me. I said, then come take what's left and see. I was burned, I was buried, I was left for the worms. But a man made of fire don't fear what burns. feared. With fire in his blood and death in his beard, he walked through hell with a loaded hand. Came back burning like a judgment man. No grave could hold him, no cross could keep him near. He was the last man standing, the last man. The devil, he was the smoke on the blacktop, the shadow in the flame, the curse in the chapel, the bullet with no name. No grave could hold him, no cross could keep him near. He was the last man standing, the last man the devil feared. When the desert wind starts calling and the bar lights disappear, you can hear those old boots walking. The last man the devil feared. Black Creek bends with a rope, 3 lies and 4 false friends. The river ran cold to the midnight hour, then the whole damn stream turned red with power. A hand broke through where the water boiled, with grave mud thick and a soul unspoiled. The moon went blind, the cattails shook, and the devil closed his ledger book. They thought the water washed him clean, thought no dead man could haunt that scene. But the bank split wide and the bridge got higher when the river turned to fire. The river turned to fire when the outlaw rose, with smoke in his breath and hell in his clothes. No flood could drown him, no grave cut deeper. The west started burning when the river turned to fire. Walked to town with the water steaming. Every guilty man started dreaming. The sheriff said, I saw him die, but his voice cracked dry as the desert sky. He said, you let that river take my name, then toasted loud to a coward's game. Now every drop that touched my skin has come back burning for your sin. The ferry sank, the mill wheel stopped, the church bell fell from the steeple top, and far below where the dead men tire, the river kept rolling fire. The river turned to fire when the outlaw rose, with smoke in his breath and hell in his clothes. No flood could drown him, no grave cut deeper. The west started burning when the river turned to fire. Water took my breath, mud took my face, but it couldn't take the rage they left in that place. So I learned to breathe flame underneath the flood, and I came back rising through fire and blood. black water screaming, red banks higher. I came back alive when the river turned to fire. When the outlaw rose, with smoke in his breath and hell in his clothes, no flood could drown him, no grave cut deeper. The west started burning when the river turned to fire. And the guilty learn why. Guilty learn why. Some men don't drown, they come back from the sky. If you cross that bridge when the black waters rise, don't look down below. That river still burns alive. Coat on the jailhouse wall, said that's the end of him, boys, that's all. But the coat kept dripping with graveyard rain, and every thread still spoke his name. At midnight sharp, the lanterns died, a horse screamed out on the far west side. The coat fell down with a thunder crack, and the whole town knew that Black Coat came back. The judge dropped low, the sheriff prayed, the preacher forgot every word he made. Then boots hit wood and the windows cracked when the man in the black coat came back. The black coat came back with fire in the seams, with hell in his footsteps and blood in his dreams. No rope, no grave, no six-gun attack could keep him down when the black coat came back. He walked through town like a funeral storm, with a dead man's face and a sinner reborn. The men who lied for a piece of land felt judgment crawl from his right hand. He said, I wore this coat when they took my breath. I wore this coat when I wrestled death. Now every button, every burn, every seam carries the truth of your dirty dream. The bar door slammed, the piano fell. The devil leaned out from the mouth of hell, then turned away down a railroad track when he saw that the black coat came back. The black coat came back with fire in the seams, with hell in his footsteps and blood in his dreams. No rope, no grave, no six-gun attack could keep him took my name, they took my land, they took my breath with their clean white hands. But they left this coat, and a coat remembers every bullet, every lie, every ember. Black cloth burning, red dust track. Death looked away when the black coat came back. The living flame. When the coat starts moving on the jailhouse rack, run for the hills. The black coat came back. Bullets in the Bible, pages torn and stained with rye. Had a cross burned on his knuckles, and a graveyard in his eyes. He stepped into the dead man's tavern, where the guilty drank for free. Laid that Bible on the table, said, "Tonight you answer me." The cardman froze, the piano died. The preacher lost his holy pride when he opened up that leather spine. Every bullet had a sinner sign. Bullets in the Bible, fire in his hand. He came preaching judgment to a lawless land. No hymn, no mercy, no prayer for the libel. He'll read every chapter of the bullets in the Bible. The judge had sold a widow's field. The sheriff watched and took his deal. The banker stole the church bell gold and blessed the lies the town was told. The outlaw said, "I died for less," with a rope around my innocence. Now every page that you betrayed has come to make your balance pay. The lantern swung, the rafters groaned, the dust storm cried outside the stone. And somewhere deep where the demons hide, the devil stepped back and opened wide. Bullets in the Bible, fire in his hand. He came preaching judgment to a lawless land. No hymn, no mercy, no prayer for the libel. He'll read every chapter of the bullets in the Bible. I ain't no saint, I ain't no savior. I'm the bill that comes due when wicked men call murder favor. You can hide behind a church wall, you can drink behind a lie, but every sin has footsteps, and mine just walked inside. Turn the page, count the cost, every name, a soul you lost. To a lawless land, no hymn, no mercy, no prayer for the liable. Hell read every chapter of the bullets in the Bible. Bullets in the Bible, smoke across the floor, one for every liar who locked a righteous door. When the last shot echoes and the red dust falls, that black Bible closes on the guilty walls. Shadows crossed to the burned out church and a bullet wall. The barroom clock struck 13 times when he walked in wearing other men's crimes. He had a coat made black by flame and a widow's curse tattooed with his name. The piano man quit halfway through when that outlaw said, "I'm looking for you." They said the devil owned this ground till that black hat rider came around, and the well went dry and the moon fell down, and by sunrise the devil left town. The devil left town when the dead man came, with a fist full of thunder and a mouth full of flame. No chain could bind him, no grave held him down. Hell lost its nerve and the devil left town. The mayor hid gold in a cedar chest. The judge wore lies like a Sunday vest. The sheriff said, "Boy, you best move on," but his pistol shook like a sinner's song. The outlaw laughed with a cold black grin, said, "I ain't here for where I've been. I'm here for every soul you sold and the names you carved into desert stone. The lamps blew out, the windows cried, the holy men had no place to hide. And deep below that cursed old ground, the devil packed up and left that town. The devil left town when the dead man came, with a fist full of thunder and a mouth full of flame. No chain could bind him, no grave held him down. Hell lost its nerve and the devil left town. I knocked on hell's door, nobody answered. I kicked it in. The devil was standing there, counting the souls of cowards. I told him, you missed one. I don't need saving, I don't need ground. I came back breathing, and the devil left town. Tucked low past the blackened chapel and the gallows pole. No prayer could stop him, no law made a sound. One outlaw rose and the devil left town. If you hear boots walking where the dead sleep deep, don't call the devil, he already left that street. They dug him down with a coyote's cry, with a silver coin on his right dead eye. The preacher said, let the sinner sleep, but the ground below started breathing deep. Three men laughed by the cedar gate with a whiskey breath and a guilty faith. They thought the dirt made a final bed till the black soul moved and raised the dead. The church bell cracked, the moon went thin, a hand broke through with fire on the skin. 6 feet couldn't hold him, hell couldn't keep him down. He came back smoking through the graveyard ground. No rope, no stone, no coffin, no hymn. Death lost its grip when the devil looked at him. the dirt still wet, and a blood-red mark where the rope had set. The sheriff saw him through the saloon door glass, dropped his gun and forgot his past. He said, I ain't back for the breath you stole, I'm back for the price of a murdered soul. You buried my name with your dirty lie, now watch that lie learn how to die. The lantern swung, the bar went cold. Every sinner there felt his own grave fold. 6 feet couldn't hold him, hell couldn't keep him down. He came back smoking through the graveyard ground. No rope, no stone, no coffin, no hymn. Death lost its grip when the devil looked at him. I heard them cover me with dirt, I heard them spit on my name. But vengeance don't rot, and fire don't sleep. So I stood up under the earth, brought the grave with me. I rose with thunder, I came with flame. 6 feet under, couldn't kill my name. Through the graveyard ground. No rope, no stone, no coffin, no hymn. Death lost its grip when the devil looked at him. 6 feet couldn't hold him, no prayer made him tame. He walked out burning with judgment in his name. When the grave dirt trembles and the black winds call, don't ask who's coming. 6 feet ain't deep at all. The barroom feared his name before. His boots came through that swinging door. The whiskey turned to smoke and shame when the dead man's shadow touched the flame. There were bullet holes in his long black coat and a hangman scar around his throat. He laid one shell by the candlelight, said, "Boys, we settle accounts tonight. The card hands froze, the piano quit. The devil himself leaned back from it. Then the floorboards groaned like they knew the game. And the barroom feared his name. The barroom feared his name. The fire knew his face. He came back from dying with hell out of place. No bottle, no bullet, no sinner's claim could stand in the smoke when the barroom feared his name. The sheriff had sold him for cattle land, with a silver badge and a shaking hand. The mayor poured lies in a crystal glass, but truth walked in like a thunderclap. He said, I heard you laughing when they cut me down. I heard you cheering from the edge of town. Now every toast that you raised for me is coming back with interest and misery. The lamps burned blue, the windows cracked. The guilty prayed, but no prayer came back. And out in the street where the red dust flamed, the whole West feared his name. The barroom feared his name. The fire knew his face. He came back from dying with hell out of place. No bottle, no bullet, no sinner's claim could stand in the smoke when the barroom feared his name. I ain't here to drink, I ain't here to laugh. I came for the cowards who wrote my epitaph. You put my name in the dirt, now I'll put yours in the flame. And by sunrise, this bar will remember my name. No last call, no mercy game. The dead walked in, and the barroom feared his name. He came back from dying with hell out of place. No bottle, no bullet, no sinner's claim could stand in the smoke when the barroom feared his name. The barroom feared his name. The devil stepped aside. One outlaw returned with the grave in his eyes. Last glass falls and the red lamps fade. Don't whisper too loud what the dead man made. Cross with a blackened name and a family loss. His daddy swung from a cottonwood limb, and the whole West lied about killing him. His mama buried a Bible deep, where the coyotes howl and the sinners sleep. She said, son, don't trust no holy hand. You come from the bloodline of the damned. They hunted his name through dust and flame, but every grave called back the same. Then the red moon rose and the black hill slammed for the bloodline of the damned. Bloodline of the damned, fire in the sand, born with a curse and a gun in his hand. No chain, no prayer, no law, man. Hell knows the name of the bloodline of the damned. He rode to town with his father's coat and a dead man's letter in his throat. The sheriff said, boy, turn around. He said, your sins are buried under this ground. The banker ran, the judge went pale. The chapel shook like a coffin nail. He said, I ain't the first that your lies have killed, but I'll be the last one standing still. The lanterns died, the floorboards moaned, the devil scratched at the undertone, and every coward in that lawless land fear the bloodline of the damned. Bloodline of the damned, fire in the sand, born with a curse and a gun in his hand. No chain, no prayer, no law, man. Hell knows the name of the bloodline of the damned. My father died with truth in his mouth. My mother lived with grief in her bones. They called us cursed. They called us damned. But sometimes the damned are just the ones who won't kneel. Father's blood, mother's flame. I carry both inside my name. was twine underneath a blood-red sign. The hangman stood with shaking hands while the outlaw smiled across the sand. He had a scar from a bullet's kiss and a name that lived on a devil's list. The crowd went cold when he raised his head, like a man who'd already made peace with the dead. They said, "Any last words before you swing?" He said, "Tell hell I ain't wearing its ring." Then the sky cracked wide and the church bells cursed when the hangman dropped down and prayed first. The hangman prayed first. When the black robe burned, the dead dust rose, and the whole town learned, you don't bury fire, you don't chain the cursed. When the outlaw left, the hangman prayed first. Snapped hard like a thunderbone, and he hit the ground like judgment stone. The sheriff ran with a silver gun, but the outlaw stood where shadows run. He said, "I was sold for a rich man's lie, left for the buzzards and the desert sky. Now I'm back with a debt to claim, and I brought a little hellfire wearing my name." The moon went black, the lanterns failed, the sinners screamed and the righteous paled. And somewhere deep where the demons thirst, the devil heard that hangman pray first. The hangman prayed first. When the black robe burned, the dead dust rose, and the whole town learned, you don't bury fire, you don't chain the cursed. When the outlaw left, the hangman prayed first. I ain't afraid of rope, I ain't afraid of flame. I've had death call me brother, and hell speak my name. But when a guilty man prays, he don't pray to be saved, he prays the thing he buried don't climb out of the grave. I came from dirt, I came from thirst, I saw fear kneel when the hangman prayed first. prayed first. He was smoke on the gallows, a stone in the dirt, a Bible Bible full of bullets, a soul that wouldn't hurt. You don't bury fire, you don't chain the cursed. When the outlaw rose, the hangman prayed first. So when the rope starts swaying and the red moon comes down, don't stand too close to that judgment ground. Whiskey for the wicked at the end of Dead Man's Creek, where the floorboards talking riddles and the guilty never speak. He walked in wearing black dust with a scar across his grin, said pour one for the living and three for dead men's sin. The bartender knew his shadow, the gamblers knew his flame. The devil in the corner would not look him in the face. Whiskey for the wicked, fire for the damned, blood on the bar top, judgment in his hand. He don't drink for mercy, he don't toast the grave. Whiskey for the wicked, and hell better behave. The judge buried the truth. The sheriff sold his pistol for a sinner's polished boot. But that outlaw kept the ledger in the burn marks on his skin. Every name that did him wrong was carved somewhere within. The mirror cracked behind him, the church clock missed a chime. He said, I've come to settle what you borrowed from my life. Whiskey for the wicked, fire for the damned, blood on the bar top, judgment in his hand. He don't drink for mercy, he don't toast the grave. Whiskey for the wicked, and hell better behave. I ain't here for forgiveness, I ain't here for gold. I came for every coward who left my blood cold. So pour that bottle slow, let the wicked taste it first. Tonight the truth is thirsty, and judgment's got a thirst. Raise that glass, say my name. The wicked drink fire when the dead man came. shots for the past. When the last glass shatters and the saloon lights die, the wicked meet the bottle with the outlaw standing by. With a silver cross gone black with the rust. 3 dead kings on a wanted wall, and the shadow stood 10 feet tall. He had a scar with a fire kissed, and a gun wrapped tight in a preacher's fist. No one moved, no one breathed, when it smiled like a man who had already seen grief. They said the devil marked his name with blood and smoke and a hanging flame. But the devil turned cold when the church bell rang, and the dead man laughed like a thunderclap sang. He wore a graveyard crown with hell at his feet. He burned every curse that tried to bury him deep. He don't bow, he don't break, he don't kneel to the ground. Even death stepped back from the man with the graveyard crown. He rode through fire on a black bone mare with a Bible verse and the devil's stare. The sheriff said, "Son, this is where you fall." He said, "I've been lower than this town's law." The moon went red, the whiskey spilled, the piano died, and the whole room chilled. He put one hand on the barroom rail and said, "I brought back fire from the belly of hell." The gamblers prayed, the cowards ran, the preacher shook with a trembling hand. But the outlaw stood where the lanterns drowned, and the devil feared that graveyard crown. He wore a graveyard crown with hell at his feet. He burned every curse that tried to bury him deep. He don't bow, he don't break, he don't kneel to the ground. Even death stepped back from the man with the graveyard crown. I was hung by the law, burned by the righteous, buried by men who swore I was done. But the dirt couldn't hold me, the fire couldn't own me, and the devil learned my name the hard way. I came back mean, I came back loud, I came back wearing a graveyard crown. With hell at his feet, he from the man with the graveyard crown. He was smoke in the chapel, a howl in the flame, a bullet in the Bible, a curse with no shame. He don't bow, he don't break, he don't kneel to the ground. Even hell looked away from the man with the graveyard crown. When the last bell rings in a ghost town street, and the dust starts crawling up from beneath, you'll hear those boots come beating down. The last outlaw with a graveyard crown. They left him cold by the canyon wall, with a bullet mark in a gambler's call. Put 2 coins on his tired eyes, then toasted loud to a dead man's lies. But midnight came with a cold black wind, and the earth split wide where they buried him. A hand rose up through the desert sand, with fire in the dead man's hand. The bar went quiet, the whiskey sour, the town clock froze at the devil's hour. Then a voice outside made the brave men stand. There's fire in the dead man's hand. Fire in the dead man's hand. Judgment walking through the land. He burned his name in the sinner's sand. Dead man's hand. No chain, no grave, no 6-foot plan. Hell paid attention to the fire in the dead man's hand. The banker hid in the upstairs room with stolen deeds and a silver spoon. The judge kept praying to a cracked white wall, but mercy never came at all. He kicked the door with a thunder sound, said, everybody here knows what went down. You sold my blood for a piece of land. Now answer to the fire in a dead man's hand. The stained glass broke, the lanterns cried, the preacher ran, and the saints all lied, and the devil watched from the black ridge span, afraid of the fire in the dead man's hand. Fire in the dead man's hand. Judgment walking through the land. He burned his name in the sinner's sand. Fire in the dead man's hand. No chain, no grave, no 6-foot plan. Hell paid attention to the fire in the dead man's hand. They thought death was a door that only opened one way. They thought dirt was the end of what a wrong man could say. But I woke up below with my heart still damned, and God help the guilty when fire finds a hand. I don't want silver, I don't want land, I I want truth burning in the dead man's hand. To the fire in the dead man's hand. Fire in the dead man's hand. Smoke on the courthouse floor. One last warning at the devil's door. When the red dust rises and the church bells slam, you'll know who's coming. Fire in the dead man's hand. And a list of sins. The chapel lights went cold and blue when the whole town knew who was passing through. They buried him once by the sinner's well, with a cracked old cross and a story to sell. But the ground don't sleep when the truth is sore, and that night the saints locked their doors. The preacher cried, don't let him in. The choir shook like leaves in wind. Then his boots hit stone on the church house floor, and the saints locked their doors. The saints locked their doors. When the dead man came with dust in his lungs and a mouth full of flame, no prayer rang out, no mercy roared. Hell started laughing when the saints locked their doors. The judge was hiding by the altar rail with a shaking hand and a face gone pale. The sheriff begged for a righteous sign, but his badge turned black in the candle shine. The outlaw said, you called it law when you fed my name to the devil's jaw. Now every lie that you dressed in grace has come back wearing my face. The stained glass cracked, the bell rope swung, the psalms went dead on every tongue, and the devil leaned through the western storm to watch fear take a holy form. The saints locked their doors when the dead man came with dust in his lungs and a mouth full of flame. No prayer rang out, no mercy roll. Hell started laughing when the saints locked their doors. I was not buried by sinners, I was buried by clean hands. Men who smiled on Sunday and bled me dry by Monday. So don't ask why I came back angry. Ask why heaven stayed quiet. No wide road, no open gates, just black dirt rising where judgment waits. Saints locked their doors when the dead man came with dust in his lungs and a mouth full of flame. No prayer rang out, no mercy roared. Hell started laughing when the saints locked their doors. The saints locked their doors, but sin still screamed. The dead man walked through a holy dream. When the chapel turns quiet and the black rain pours, listen for boots where the saints lock their doors.